high around 80. Finally, Monday night, partly cloudy, low in the upper 50s. Everybody have a great weekend this weekend. Enjoy the sun and Raider up.
Pass it on.
This time of upheaval is causing me to look a little deeper inside myself, looking for some goodness. And this is what I've found. I'm more aware of my neighbor's well-being. I'm saying thanks to those who help keep my life as normal as possible. My mail carrier, my grocery cashier, my delivery person. I find myself caring about others instead of just looking out for myself. And oh, my goodness, does it feel good. Goodness is in you.
Pass it on.
From passiton.com.
Hey, this is Mike Fury of Dangerous Muse, and you're listening to 106.9 Dayton's Right Choice. Turn it up.
Welcome back to the Nutter Center. I thought he was a little crazy at the time for doing that, but it worked out. But
is I'm highly competitive. If we're playing checkers, Parker, I want to beat you. Simple as that.
This idea of arriving doesn't exist. We're always becoming. Remember the day that Mark McGuire... Yes, I remember! Said I MF'd you all the way back to the dugout.
And the Raiders take it. They go undefeated in Horizon League play this season. They are the Horizon League regular season champions.
This is The Perspective with Parker Testa on WWSU 106.9.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to The Perspective right here on WWSU 106.9. Happy Friday. You've made it. Congratulations. Weekend coming up. It's going to be a great weekend. Both here at Wright State, and weather's going to be gorgeous this weekend, so get outside if you can. Lot to get into today. We're talking NFL Week 2 action. We have an interview with Central Florida head baseball coach Greg Lovelady, which is really exciting. We talked a lot of different topics, both in modern baseball, plus we spoke on his time at Wright State, so stay tuned for that coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. So, with that, we will get into some NFL Week 2 recap here. So, what is going on with the Carolina Panthers is the question. Why are they good? I don't know how they're good, but they're good. Sam Darnold has, found his way, I guess. You get out of New York and you're good. Maybe it's the Jets. Maybe they're cursed. I don't know. Maybe, we're going to talk Week 2, but here in Week 3, the Panthers beat the Houston Texans 24-9 last night. Davis Mills, the rookie, got his first NFL career start, and Sam Darnold played excellently. He 23 for 34, 304 yards. So he played great last night. He really did. I don't know what the deal is there, but I got no explanation for it. The Panthers, I guess, have kind of found their way a little bit. Matt Rule's done a great job there, so I really don't know. I just don't. So we're going to get into some NFL Week 2 action here. Bears-Bengals. The Bears beat the Bengals 20-17 on Sunday afternoon up in Chicago at Soldier Field. Justin Fields was great in that game. Andy Dalton got injured. Fields steps in, and he was great. Led the Bears to a win there, and Fields is going to get the start in Week 3. We were all wondering when it was going to happen, and here it is. So I guess that's, in a way we go. So thank you to all of you who are listening, however you are listening, either on WWSU 106.9 FM or on our YouTube page, WWSU 106.9 as well. I can't thank you all enough for listening there. Browns-Texans. Baker Mayfield pops his shoulder back into place after getting knocked out of the game. Comes back and leads the Browns to a win. They are 1-1 after last week. So the Browns get the win there. So the Bills put an absolute hurting on the Miami Dolphins. Tua gets hurt. Jacoby Brissett steps in, and what is it going to be? I don't know. I thought Brissett was pretty good in Indianapolis. I really did. But who knows? I don't know. So it's really I really don't know what to make of it. We're good. Josh Allen played well. I wish he would have played better because I started him in fantasy. But what are you going to do? So Bills rout the Miami Dolphins 35-0. Colts Rams. Here we go. Rams beat the Indianapolis Colts last week 27-24. Stafford throws for 278, 2 touchdowns. That's the story of the game. 24 points looks very good for how the Colts played. I'm surprised they put up 24. With the way that the Colts played, they should have put up 10 or 3 or maybe 7. I don't know. But the way that you play, if you play that badly, you should not put up 24 points. You shouldn't. It's the moral of the story there. The way that goes, you should not put up 24 points and play that bad. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? And somebody please tell me how in the heck Carson Wentz manages to mess up not one, but both of his ankles. How does that happen? Jacob Eason is terrible. This Colts coaching staff, this is the worst I've seen them in 3 or 4 years. This is awful. Are you kidding me? And here's what I'm tired of. I know this is not Indianapolis. I know this is not Dayton, but I am Indiana raised, and I am a Colts fan and a Pacers fan and all that jazz. The media in Indianapolis hypes up Frank Reich and Chris Ballard and all the coaching staff like they are God's gift to the earth. They're not. What have they won? They've won nothing. And as much hate as Ryan Grigson gets, he won. Winning matters. What are you going to do? I mean, play calls are atrocious. I think Frank Reich, honestly, in all honesty, his play calls haven't been good. Delegate play calls to somebody else. Delegate it to Marcus Brady. Matt Eberflus seems to be a better play caller than Frank Reich is, and he's the defensive coordinator. Delegate play calls to Jim Irsay for all I care. Play calls need to be better. The offense needs to be better. And don't get me started on that damn offensive line. This is supposed to be one of the best offensive lines in football. What have they done? Carson Wentz is on pace to get hit 179 times this season if he plays all 17 games. You know how many times, you know what the most number of hits Andrew Luck took in the season was? 121. And that was a lot. Carson Wentz is on pace to get hit 179 times this season. That's unacceptable. Absolutely terrible. T.Y. Hilton, we need you back, buddy. We need you back. And as good as Michael Pittman played, had 8 catches for 125 and no touchdowns, but 8 catches for 125 is great. But who else do you have? Ashton frickin' Doolin, who recovered a fumble in the end zone on special teams. Great. Throw the ball to that guy. Paris Campbell needs to be better. I'm fed up. Through 2 weeks, this team looks like the worst team in football. And that's including the Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans. Urban Meyer is apparently bothersome of all these people, and apparently he told Vic Fangio that every week in the NFL is like playing Alabama. Really? You're not going to get Vanderbilt. And if you do get Vanderbilt, I don't know what to do about this anymore. I'm fed up. I am. Defense has played well, but the secondary has been atrocious. Oh, my Lord. So that's all I have on the Colts. That's my opinion on the Colts right now. Dumpster fire is the correct phrase for the Colts right now. So with that, we'll move on here to a couple other games that I thought were interesting. So the Patriots and the Jets. Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions. I think the New York Jets are cursed. I really do. I think Saleh's a great coach. I'm a big Robert Saleh fan. But what the heck is going on with Zach Wilson? He looked great last week. Or not last week, but week 1. But he threw 4 picks. And I understand there's going to be growing pains, but if you're a number 2 pick in the NFL draft, the expectations are a lot higher than 210 and 4 picks. You put up 6 points. Mac Jones looked fantastic. I mean, as he always does. I mean, through 2 weeks, who the heck thought that the Patriots would have been this good? I didn't expect Mac Jones to play this well. I mean, he didn't have a touchdown, but he 186 on 22 of 30. He was sacked 3 times, had a QBR of 29, but I think he played well. Took care of the football. That's all you could ask for is to take care of the football, maybe throw in a couple touchdowns. But if you take care of the football and your running game is as good as it is, you can win games. They had 2 rushing touchdowns on Sunday. One by Damian Harris, one by James White, which I didn't even know James White was still in New England, but I guess he is. So that was a game that I mean, it didn't surprise me. I knew New England would win that game, but I didn't expect to be the Jets to be that bad. I didn't. I really didn't. Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers. 49ers win 17-11 in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, 12-23, 190, led the team in rushing with 82 carries and a rushing touchdown. One thing I'm curious about what I think about the Eagles is play calling from Sirianni needs to be better. It does. And going back to the Colts, I thought Matt Eberflus, their D coordinator, would have got a head coaching job before Sirianni. And if Sirianni was still in Indianapolis, he's the guy that needs to be calling the plays. Frank Reich had one good year as an offensive coordinator in Philadelphia. They won the Super Bowl. And he's had a decent year in Indianapolis in 2018 when they went 10-6 and won the wild card game. That's the best year that this coaching staff and this regime has had. That first year, that Chris Ballard's first year, they won 4 games with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Chuck Pagano got fired. But anyway, I digress. I said I'm done with the Colts. I'm done with the Colts. And even when I say that just now, I'm probably not done with the Colts because they bother me so much. But the Raiders. Who would the heck thought they would have been 2-0? I didn't. I surely didn't. But John Gruden, Chucky, who's one of my favorite coaches in football, has had a heck of a start. He really has. Surprised the heck out of me. Henry Ruggs had 5 catches for 113 and a touchdown. Carr went for 382, 2 TDs. It was a good game from the Raiders. Wow. That's what I mean, to go over the 2-0 teams in football right now, excluding the Carolina Panthers, who are now 3-0 after last night. Raiders, 49ers, Broncos, Bucks, Rams, Cardinals. That Cardinals team I love a lot. I do. They barely won that game against the Minnesota Vikings, but I love the Cardinals. They're a lot of fun. Kyler Murray put up 403 TDs. I love Rondale Moore. That dude has explosiveness like I haven't seen in a while. It's insane. 7 for 114 and a touchdown is what Rondale Moore's line was on Sunday against the Vikings in Phoenix. It's crazy. And another thing I think is cursed is the Minnesota Vikings field goal unit. Dan Bailey missed that extra point in the playoffs, or the field goal, whatever it was. It was like 25 yards or something like that. Now, I'm not sure who the Vikings kicker was. Isn't it Carl Joseph? I think it's Carl Joseph. But you missed the field goal at the end. I honestly think in big moments that the Minnesota Vikings special teams or field goal unit is cursed. Man, that's brutal. It's really brutal. The Falcons played better than they did week 1 after putting up 6 points. Matt Ryan looked better. 300 yards, 2 DTs. But there's no outperforming 5 touchdown passes from Tom Brady. How the heck do you beat that? Brady threw 276 yards, 5 touchdowns. That really made me upset because I started Josh Allen over Tom Brady in fantasy, and I lost because of it. My fantasy management this season has been subpar at best, but that's not the point here. Dallas Cowboys get another win, 20-17 over the LA Chargers. Or not another win. They get their first win after losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1, or game 1 of the year. Zerline made a 56-yarder on the last play to win that game. Herbert didn't play too bad. He didn't. 31 for 41, 338 and a touchdown. He didn't play bad. Keenan Allen had 4 for 108. But the surprise for the Dallas Cowboys for me is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard had 13 for 109 and a touchdown. He's their most explosive back they have. He is. He's the most explosive back that the Dallas Cowboys have. And I know Ezekiel Elliott seems to be fantastic, and he's supposed to be really good, and I think he is, but Tony Pollard had 109 and a touchdown. Give that guy the ball more. After that performance, you kidding me? Wow. Wow is all I have to say. Titans Seahawks. Titans beat the Seattle Seahawks in overtime on a field goal. Tannehill had 447, no touchdowns. But the thing is, Derrick Henry went off like Derrick Henry always does. 35 carries for 182 and 3 touchdowns. With the way that the Colts defense has played, Derrick Henry's poised for 500 yards this week. He is. And I was at the game after Thanksgiving in Indianapolis where the Colts played the Titans. Colts couldn't stop nothing. I bet if I stood it up, I would have went out there and ran for 102 touchdowns. Colts defense couldn't stop anybody in that game. And I don't think they're going to stop anybody in this game either. They're not going to stop Derrick Henry. 35 carries? I think he'll get 35 carries again. At least. Chiefs-Ravens. Ravens barely beat the Kansas City Chiefs in what I think was the best game of the year. So to this point, 36-35, Mahomes had 343, 3 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson ran for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hollywood Brown had 6 for 113 and a touchdown. Ravens win that game 36-35. And one thing that I love that clip of John Harbaugh yelling to Lamar Jackson on the field, saying, Lamar, do you want to go for this? And what did they do? They went for it and got the first down. You know what that is? That's having trust in your quarterback. Having faith in your quarterback to get that first down. The coach asks his quarterback what he wants to do. The only guys that call the plays really in this entire league and are allowed to disregard the coach, which Lamar didn't do. Harbaugh asked him. But guys that are allowed to do things that are similar to that idea, 2 guys. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. That's it. That's it. But having trust in your quarterback like that speaks volumes. And I know Lamar Jackson gets a lot of hate. And granted, I've been on that train of the Lamar Jackson hate, but he played well. He played really well. And showing that faith in your quarterback from John Harbaugh is something that I ultimately respect. Absolutely do. Last game here before we get to a quick break, and we'll bring on Greg Lovelady, the Central Florida head baseball coach. Packers-Lions. Packers bounced back, and I thought they would. Aaron Rodgers bounced back. Aaron Rodgers had 255, 4 TDs. And I love Dan Campbell. I do. I think he's going to change the culture in Detroit. But 35-17, Packers win that one. It was close up at halftime. It was 17-14 at halftime. Lions had the lead. But they did not score a point after halftime. Packers put up 21, win the game. And one thing that I loved about this game was that Aaron Jones had his father's ashes in a locket around his neck that he lost in the end zone after scoring a touchdown. And he said this after the game. They asked him about it. And Aaron Jones said this, and I think this is fantastic. If my dad would have wanted me to lose it anywhere, it would have been in the end zone. That's fantastic. I love that. Aaron Jones did get his locket back, by the way. One of the members of the Lambeau Field staff found it about 2 o'clock the next morning and put it in his locker. So he did get that back. So there's a happy ending there. But even without a happy ending, I love that quote. I do. So the Packers get the win. And it's what's happening in the NFL. If you would have asked me before the season, I would have thought been 2-0. I would not have said the Raiders, Panthers, Broncos, or Cardinals. But that's where we sit right now. And it's fantastic. So that's my NFL segment this week here on The Perspective. I apologize. I don't apologize. I apologize to all of you that had to deal with my ranting session about the Indianapolis Colts. What I do not apologize, who do I not apologize to, is the Indianapolis Colts themselves and the Indianapolis Colts media for hyping up what has been a terrible, absolutely atrocious coaching staff and front office. Absolutely awful. And the media hypes them up. I'm going to say this one more time. They hype them up like they're God's gift to the earth, and they're not. They ain't won a damn thing. So that's my Colts rant for the week. We'll be right back with Greg Lovelady here on The Perspective on WWSU 106.9.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey WWSU listeners, have you been interested in getting more involved on campus? Then SIGEP has you covered. SIGEP has helped countless men at Wright State form lifelong friendships, become more connected to their campus, and live a lifestyle of virtue, diligence, and brotherly love. For more information on how you can join, email Jed Rissmiller, our VP of Recruitment at sigepwsu.vpr@gmail.com.
Hey everyone, check out Rush Week 2021, presented by Alpha Sig Eta Psi here on campus. To find out more information, check out their Instagram at ALPHASIGS_WSU. You're going to love it.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
For those fortunate enough to help the person who has always been their hero, AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
If you love them enough to barely sleep, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're in the right car seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Pass it on. Now's the time to stay apart. Social distancing. But I'm adding something else. Pull together. What's pulling together while we're staying apart? It's calling family to check in on them. It's waving to your neighbor. It's the things we should have been doing all along. And when this tragedy passes and we're able to come together, we'll be stronger than ever because we've already pulled together. Stay apart. Pull together.
Pass it on.
From passiton.com.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as Reserve Citizen Airmen.
I am proud to defend our nation.
Proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference.
I am proud to be part of something larger than me.
We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving in the Air Force Reserve. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
I am proud to be a member. I am proud to protect our...
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
AFReserve.com.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. I listen to this radio station.
106.9 WWSU Dayton.
Welcome back to The Perspective, everybody, here on WWSU 106.9. Just wrapped up our NFL segment, so if you want to catch our NFL segment, please feel free to back up after the show and catch that there. We're going to bring on Greg Lovelady. I had a chance to speak with him. He's the head baseball coach at Central Florida and the former head coach of baseball here at Wright State. Talked a lot of different topics, talked modern baseball, talked coaching styles, talked his time at Wright State. So without further ado, here's Greg Lovelady. Joining us now is Coach Greg Lovelady, who's the head baseball coach at Central Florida and the former head baseball coach of the Red State Raiders here in Dayton. Coach, thank you for joining us.
I'm glad you had me. I'm excited to be here.
So you're a former player, former national champion at Miami, Florida in 99 and 01. As a former player, is there anything that you take from your playing days and kind of implement it into your coaching style today?
I think, of course. I think just as you get, as a player, you're learning so much from a coaching staff. And so I think that, really the base of my coaching is a lot of the things that I learned as a player at Miami. And then also the fact that, how good we were and how to win championships. And that's always been a big part of my coaching philosophy and things that I learned there. I think definitely, somebody that would know college baseball really well, if they watched our teams play and me as a coach, I think they would say that, that's somebody that's in the University of Miami Hurricane coaching tree kind of thing. So, I definitely think that a big base of that comes from that. Now, I've changed a lot as a coach for my entire career and implemented new things. So it's definitely not 100% the same. This program, with the program I ran at Wright State and the program that I'm running here at UCF, it's not cut and paste from what we did at Miami, but there is a lot of similarities and the foundation is very similar.
From a recruiting standpoint, what is something that you what is one of your big selling points on when bringing high school seniors to Orlando?
Well, I think one, we try to individualize everything. And I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of places just cookie cutter their programming for how they're going to develop kids. And I think that every kid develops it differently. And so we have some core value stuff that is non-negotiable, but the rest of it is a base of what us and the kid can come up with to try to make them better, what they like, what they don't like. Obviously doing a lot of different screening and things like that, and then trying to program what does this individual kid need. And so I think we try to differentiate ourselves a lot by doing that. And then secondly, just trying to make sure that they understand that we try to put players first and that we are trying to provide an experience that they're going to talk about for the rest of their life. And I think a lot of places get caught up in winning and having the best players and just about the coach and about, winning. And I think that our belief is that if we do all the other things right, that winning takes care of itself. And so really having the experience doesn't mean we don't get on guys, we're not pushing guys, but making them understand that it's going to be about them and development is going to be put at the forefront, and making sure that they, at the end of the day, reach the goals that they want to reach on a personal level and from a team standpoint while they're here. And so that when they're sitting at the dining room table with their kids in 20 years, like I want them to be bragging about the experience that they had. That's the way we want to do it at Wright State. And that's kind of, we've carried that over here at UCF.
When it comes to your coaching style, are you more of an old school style coach where you're more of a small ball kind of guy, or more of a new modern type of coach where you kind of preach your launch angle?
Well, I mean, I think I sack bunt a lot less than I used to. But I'm not against bunting either. I mean, I think that there's times and places for it. We do sack bunt a lot. It just depends on the hitter and the situation. And, a lot of it goes into that thought about who we're facing, what I believe the score is going to be that day. I mean, if it's going to be a 1-0 game, I believe we're going to have two top pitchers going head to head on the mound, and every run is like, diamonds, you know what I mean? Then we got to sack bunt maybe in the first inning. If I think the score is going to be 8-7, like on a Sunday game, then that might not be the best option. We got to play for multiple runs and not one run. So, my goal is, we don't really talk about launch angle a lot. Again, I think that's an individualized thing. I think a lot of people see it in the big leagues where you go watch a big leaguer take BP. Every single big leaguer is hitting home runs like every other ball in a big league batting practice. Where our kids, we got kids that can't even hit the ball to the warning track and hit the ball over one time in batting practice. So launch angle for that guy is a really bad idea when you can't actually get the ball out of the ballpark. Now you got a guy, and Josh Donaldson was the first guy that really kind of got into this launch angle stuff. But Josh Donaldson could just launch balls whenever he wanted to. Problem was in the game he wasn't trying to. He was trying to get on top of baseballs and hit ground balls or line drives where, he needed to be able to try to get the ball in the air and use that power that he had. So for big leaguers, it can change a little bit. So I think there's guys that we talk about trying to get the ball in the air more, and there's guys that we talk about trying to get on top and hit line drives and ground balls and utilize their speed. And but for us, offensively, we want to be dynamic. I want a little bit of everything. I want to be able to bunt when we need. If the wind's blowing in 20 miles an hour, you better be able to bunt. At the niche, there's not a lot of bunting going on with the wind blowing out. We have ways to win and find ways to score runs.
So what is something that you took from your time at Wright State and use it when you're coaching now?
Well, again, I think that in terms of how I recruit and the things that are important to me in terms of the development, that was all, I cut my teeth on that at Wright State. I took over as the head coach. I hired two unbelievable people in Jeff Mercer and Justin Parker. They both played for me. We were all friends. So there was a relationship there, but I ended up hitting 2 home runs. Those are two of the, Justin's now the pitching coach at South Carolina. Jeff is the head coach at Indiana. Everybody's super successful. And in my third year, Matt Tallarico, who's now a base running coordinator for the Yankees and an assistant hitting coach in the minor leagues. But Justin and Jeff, when we sat down, room and the baseball field, and the nutrition part of it, and the mental game. And we really built this synergy from not only from a coaching staff and a support staff, but just kind of adding or putting all those pieces together and really being able to take kids that were underdeveloped physically, but were athletic, and then making them fast twitch, making them even more athletic, but then also teaching them how to play baseball. And it just gave us to be very physical, very athletic, very dynamic, being able to throw harder. And we just started recruiting to that model and then developing those players, but it was all about development from a lot of different ways. And I have taken that and done the same thing here at UCF. And so, again, the base of my recruiting and the philosophy in terms of what kind of athletes we're going to be and what kind of athletes we're going to recruit and how we're going to develop them, that was all cut at Wright State.
What were some of your favorite aspects of Wright State, whether it's the campus, the local community, or any of your, some of your favorite moments that you had?
Yeah. I mean, one, I love the area. Being a native Floridian, coming to the Midwest, it just is unbelievable people. And that's just not about Wright State, but just the entire Dayton community and Beaver Creek where I lived. And I mean, just Ohio in general. I mean, I just think the people are tremendous. It's just a different, kind of feel like the Bible Belt, just Midwestern people are different. And that's definitely something that I miss. And not that the people in Florida and Orlando are bad people. It's just, there's just a difference about Midwesterners, just kind of the kindness and the Christian values and just how generous people are. And it's just a really cool place to live. I mean, obviously I got to raise my kids there for the beginning of their lives. And we just met so many, my wife is originally from there, but we just met so many good people. And so definitely the area and the people, obviously the athletic department at Wright State, there's just a lot of people that have been there for so long. And obviously that starts at the top with what I think is one of the best ADs in the entire country, and Bob Grant. I mean, just salt of the earth people. And, but people like Sarah Hill and Joylyn Brown. I mean, you have all these people that have been at Wright State for a while, that understand Chris Bethel. I mean, they're just people that you could just build relationships with and really kind of try to build the athletic department together. And it's not as huge athletic department where everyone was involved in everything, where you get to these bigger athletic departments, you have one person that's in charge of one thing. And so there's just a lot more hands in on the deal. But at Wright State, you just felt like you had people that cared about your program and were so invested in trying to make it as good as it possibly could with the restrictions that we had from a financial standpoint. But definitely the area and the people in the athletic department, and it's just different. And again, just the people. When you recruit those kind of people, when you're Midwestern and especially Ohioans, then you have those families on your team. We just built this family atmosphere that wasn't just about the players, but it was about the parents. And when you have Midwestern people, man, it's a lot easier to do that. And so I definitely miss that aspect of it. I mean, obviously none of the players that I recruited are there anymore, but just missing that family that we had built there was so special, and something that I'm going to hold dear to my heart for the rest of my life.
When you first got into coaching, did you have somebody that was sort of a mentor to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jim Morris, who's just retired a couple of years ago, was my coach at the University of Miami. He had built a great junior college in Georgia. And then he built Georgia Tech into a powerhouse, and he comes to Miami and he continues the legacy that Coach Frazier had built. And so obviously he was a big part of my life. And then, actually the two other coaches there were Gino DeMario, who's now the head coach. He's been there for forever, but took over for Coach Morris. I mean, he's been a huge huge supporter of mine and just a huge sounding board as when I was learning this game. And he really had my back early on in my career when I was coaching there and my first couple of years at Wright State. I mean, he was a big reason why I got the job. Mark Kingston, who's now the head coach at South Carolina. He was my catching coach there for my last 2 years at Miami. He went to Tulane, and then he was the head coach at Illinois State, and then South Florida, and then now he's at South Carolina. Has been a huge mentor of mine, a huge person that I lean on for a lot of different things. And then obviously Rob Cooper really changed the thought process as I had as a coach, and hiring me obviously set me on a path to where I am today. But him and his wife, Mo, were two of the biggest influences in my entire life. And just kind of changed the way I looked at college baseball, changed the way I looked at a coach's job. And, I just kind of always thought coaching was coach the players and try to win. And now Coop just again, and Mo, just the way that they invested in kids' lives and really, used our profession to make better people, and to not worry about the next 4 years of the player's life, but worry about the next 40 years of the player's life. And being able to be around him and just see that philosophy just kind of changed my focus on what I thought coaching was. And it's still about winning and still about developing players on the baseball field, but I spend so much more time making sure that they're going to be great husbands and fathers and, better brothers and sons, and really set them up to live the life that they want to live, and hopefully bring them closer to God. Try to do all those different kinds of things. I wouldn't have had that mindset if I didn't coach for Rob Cooper at Wright State.
When you look back on not only your coaching career, but also your playing career, what are some of your favorite moments that you've had over the years?
It's easy to pick the national championships. I think, obviously, those things are, I grew up at Miami. I grew up at the field as a fan first, and seeing a couple teams win national championships when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. And then following all these players, idolizing them, wanting to get autographs. And then being able to get on the other side of the fence and be the one that's having to sign the autographs and having fans recognize you in town and all that kind of stuff. And being able to win a national championship, dreaming about that for my entire life. I sat in the backyard, not saying Game 7 of the World Series, but I said national championship game in Omaha at Rosenblatt Stadium with canes across my chest. That was a dream of mine. So to be able to go and actually live that dream, how many people get to do that? How many people have this vision of what their life is going to be like and actually get to do it almost the way you expect it? And I didn't go to Miami saying I want to play in the game. I just said I want to ride the coattails and get a national championship ring and say that I was a national champion, let alone I get a chance to start in both national championship games. That wasn't even part of my, you know what I'm saying? So, so just to be able to live my childhood dream out the way that I wanted to, I don't think I understood it at the time, but as I got older, realizing how lucky I was that I got to do that, and how many people want that dream and have had that dream, and just how many people have dreams in general that never matriculate the way that they wanted to. And to be able to say that I did it, is really something special to me. So, obviously the 2 regional finals at Wright State were huge as a coach. Just to be able to, Coop and I spent 9 years together trying to build that thing. And we got to go to three regionals, never won a game in a regional. And trying to break through that, and then be able to do that with 2 former players and Jeff and Justin, and building what we did, and to be a top, 30 or 40 program in the entire country, and beat all the teams that we did, and do all the things, and all the draft guys, and really take Wright State from where we got it in the fall of 2004 to what we were able to finish in the spring of 2016, and 12 seasons there. Really to build it and see it through to a certain extent, was really rewarding for me as a person, as a coach, and really just to see the joy in the Wright State baseball alums, and especially the guys that I coached, and obviously the players on that team. And it was pretty remarkable. We built a lot of cool relationships that I still talk to most of the Wright State players on a monthly basis, and that means a lot to me.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. I miss that place, and a lot of good people there, and that I still follow and talk to. So I enjoy coming back and being able to relive some of those days.
Can't thank Greg Lovelady enough for his time. Great stuff from him today. I'm sure the people with Wright State Athletics really appreciate all the great things that he said, and I second everything he said. Wright State Athletics is full of a bunch of fantastic people, so great stuff from him today, and I can't thank him enough for his time. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are talking MLB playoffs. Playoffs are starting to get in full swing. My Reds take was not very good last week, so that's changed. But we will come back and talk baseball here on The Perspective. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus. So if you have a fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going in. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
this is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at NHTSA.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/our stories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Learn how to store your gun securely and make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
My mother was very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign and she wasn't even really sure where she was at.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
What can I possibly do to make this stressful time a little better? Here's one thing I found. It's a small thing, a simple thing, a remarkable thing. Smile. You can share a smile from more than 6 feet apart. You can share it socially with the whole world. In fact, right now, I'm smiling at you. And I hope you're smiling back, because smiling is in you. From PassItOn.com.
If you love them enough to sit through their favorite boy band with them, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba,
please be done.
Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And Dayton's right choice.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Back here on The Perspective, right here on WWSU 106.9 FM. Again, can't thank Greg Lovelady enough for his time. Great stuff from Greg today. So thank you to Greg Lovelady with UCF Baseball. To wrap up the show here today, real quick, a quick announcement to make. Wright State is having their homecoming week this week, starting Monday, September 27th. If you'd like more information about the Wright State homecoming, you can follow the Wright State University Activities Board on Instagram at WSUAB. To wrap up the show today, we're going to talk some MLB playoffs. Last week, I said that I thought the Reds would get into the playoffs. They won't. They won't. They haven't played well at all over the past week, so they are not going to make the playoffs. They won't. And it sucks to say that for Reds fans, but they are not going to make the playoffs. They're 5.5 back games right now, and it's looking more and more like it's going to be the St. Louis Cardinals, unless disaster strikes on the Cardinals, but they've won like 12 straight games. So the Cardinals are going to be the wild card team. I think that second wild card team there in the NL. For the AL, it gets a lot more interesting. The Boston Red Sox are in that top wildcard spot. They're 2 games up of the New York Yankees, who are holding on to that final wildcard spot, unfortunately. So sad. Why do the Yankees always sneak in? Why? The Yankee... Anybody who listens to this show knows that I hate the Yankees more than anybody. Are you kidding? Why do the Yankees get in? It's not fair. What do they know? What do they know? How are they so good? But the problem is they're not good. Is baseball rigging the schedule for the Yankees to win so they can get in the playoffs so they can make more money based on market? The team that should get in is Toronto. The Blue Jays are so fun to watch. I love watching Blue Jays baseball. Blue Jays baseball is so much fun to watch. And someone make the argument that Charlie Montoyo is not a great manager, but I think he's done a great job. He just hasn't had great teams. This year he has a great team. Toronto Blue Jays are 85-68 right now with a .556 winning percentage. They're 1 game back behind the New York Yankees. 1 game back. Seattle's 2 games back. They could get in also. If the Toronto Blue Jays and the Yankees fall off the plate, Seattle Mariners get in. Scott Service, another manager that I love. This baseball playoffs is shaping up to be one that it's going to be so much fun to watch. Really. It's going to be a blast. It really is. I'm so excited to watch these baseball playoffs. They're going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you have a whole bunch of different. I mean, you have your standard Dodgers and Rays. So the Rays are winning the AL East. They've clinched. The Chicago White Sox are winning the AL Central. They've clinched the division. No surprise there. Rest of the division has been eliminated from the playoffs. Houston Astros lead the West. Seattle Mariners are 7 games behind for the division, so they won't win that division. The Oakland Athletics are still in the playoff race. The LA Angels are eliminated. The Texas Rangers have been eliminated. It sucks. I hate to see the Angels miss the playoffs. And it sucks because on Keep It Real this summer, I thought the Angels would get hot after the All-Star break. I did. I thought they would get hot. But apparently they're not. Is this an edition of hot or not? The Angels are not. So it sucks to see the Angels not having success. And it's I love Joe Madden. I love Mike Trout. I love Ohtani. But the Angels need to be better. They need to have a better pitching staff. Pitching is what's really killed the Angels this season. It has. The Atlanta Braves are holding on to the National League East. Philadelphia Phillies are 2 games back at the division. It's still a chance for Philly to take that division. Mets are 7.5 back. The Milwaukee Brewers have clinched the Central Division in the NL. St. Louis Cardinals are going to be the second wildcard team. The Reds still have a shot, but they won't make the playoffs. Reds aren't playing well enough to make the playoffs. San Francisco and the Dodgers and the Padres in the West. Padres still have a shot at a playoff spot but I don't think they'll get there. The real race here is between the Dodgers and the Giants for the division. Giants are holding on to the division at 99-54. Dodgers are a game back at 98-55. San Francisco Giants are insane. Why are they good? They have the best record on the road in baseball, the best overall record in baseball. How? Why are the Giants good? I love Gabe Kapler. I do. But why are they good? I don't get it. I don't. I really don't get it. I don't. So these MLB playoffs are going to be fun. As of right now, well, what I think it'll be: Tampa Bay Rays, Boston Red Sox. I want the Blue Jays, but I think it'll be the Yankees. White Sox, Astros. So that's the AL playoffs. My personal AL playoffs right now. Rays, Red Sox, Yankees, White Sox, Astros. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun playoff race. Or not race. It's going to be a fun playoffs. These MLB playoffs are going to be fun in the AL. Both leagues. The NL. I think it'll be this. Braves. Brewers have the division. They're in. St. Louis Cardinals are going to get that second wild card. They'll be in. San Francisco Giants and the Dodgers. I think the Giants win the division. So that's my NL playoffs. Braves, Brewers, Cardinals, Giants, Dodgers. I'll make my World Series picks next week or the week after. Once the playoffs are here, I'll promise you this. I'll make my playoff or my World Series picks once the playoffs are set. I'll make my World Series picks. I will there. So it's going to be fun. It really is. Baseball's fun. As you all know, baseball's my favorite sport. Literally wearing an MLB Hall of Fame or Baseball Hall of Fame hat right now. If you're on our YouTube broadcast, you can see it. So it's going to be fun. NFL is a lot of fun. This week's going to be a lot of fun. Let me know what you think on Twitter at Parker Testa of today's show. Reach out to me. You can follow me on there. So if you think I suck, tell me. If you think it was really good, tell me. Either way, I'm open to feedback. Whatever kind of feedback you want to give me, I'm open to it. So with that, thank you all today for listening, whether you listened on WWSU 106.9 FM, on our website, on the FM station, or on our YouTube feed. Thank you so much for listening. I apologize for my rant. I don't apologize for my rant. It was needed. I needed to get that out. And this is the best spot for me to get it out live on this show every week. So thank you to all of you for putting up with my annoyance, if you will. So with that, appreciate all you listening today here on this Friday. Next week's show we'll have an interview with Kelly Ford, who's the assistant commissioner for competition with the Horizon League. Talked a lot of different topics with Kelly, so we can't thank Kelly enough for his time. That'll be next week's show. I'm sure we'll talk more NFL. We'll work in some college football, some baseball. So that's what next week's show will look like. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for listening here on The Perspective on WWSU 106.9. I can't thank you enough. The Colts are terrible. I will continue to say they are terrible until they prove me otherwise. You can catch all our interviews on our YouTube channel at The Perspective WWSU 106.9. All interviews are posted right there at 3 o'clock. So, thank you all for listening, everybody, here this afternoon. Thank you so much for your support of this show. And with that, we'll talk to you next week here on The Perspective WWSU 106.9. We'll see you soon.
You are listening to WWSU 106.9 FM, Fairborn, Dayton, Dayton's right choice.